Germany, once the economic powerhouse of Europe, is now struggling to keep its status as a global leader. In 2023, the country officially slipped into a recession with GDP shrinking while its competitors surged ahead. Industrial production is falling, businesses are leaving, and even the legendary German car industry, once untouchable, is facing massive challenges. So, what went wrong? Germany was once the backbone of the European economy, the land of innovation, high tech manufacturing, and financial stability. But today, the cracks are showing, and they are getting bigger. The energy crisis has driven production costs sky high. Deindustrialization is forcing companies to relocate to cheaper, more business friendly countries. An aging population is shrinking the workforce. And on top of that, government policies and high taxes are making it harder for businesses to survive, let alone thrive. This isn't just a temporary setback. Many experts believe Germany's golden age is over. But is it really? Or can Europe's former economic giant turn things around before it's too late? Let's dive deep into the downfall of Germany's economy and whether it can recover. But before we talk about Germany's downfall, we need to understand how it became an economic powerhouse in the first place. What made Germany the leader of Europe's economy for so long? Germany's rise as an economic superpower is one of the most remarkable success stories of the modern world. Just a few decades after the devastation of World War II, the country transformed itself into Europe's largest economy and one of the world's top exporters. This transformation wasn't an accident. It was the result of smart policies, a strong industrial base, and an incredibly skilled workforce. After World War II, Germany was in ruins. Cities were bombed, infrastructure was destroyed, and the economy was in shambles. But what followed in the 1950s and 60s was nothing short of an economic miracle, or as the Germans call it, the Wirtschaftswunder. With the help of the Marshall Plan, a US-led initiative to rebuild war-torn Europe, Germany received much-needed financial aid. But money alone wasn't enough. What really set Germany apart was its focus on industrial growth, strict fiscal discipline, and a highly skilled workforce. The government, under Chancellor Konrad Adenauer and his economic minister Ludwig Erhard, adopted free market policies while maintaining a strong social safety net. This balance between capitalism and social welfare laid the foundation for Germany's success. By the 1970s, Germany had become an economic powerhouse, leading Europe in industrial production, automobile manufacturing, and technological innovation. Germany didn't just rebuild, it dominated global trade. Its economy was built on exports, particularly high-quality manufactured goods. Brands like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Volkswagen, Siemens, and Bosch became synonymous with excellence and reliability. The world trusted German engineering, and demand for its products soared. By the 1990s and early 2000s, Germany had firmly established itself as the largest economy in Europe and the fourth largest in the world. Its strength came from a diversified economy with key industries in automobiles, machinery, chemicals, and high-tech equipment. The country was often referred to as the economic engine of Europe, as it played a crucial role in stabilizing the European Union, especially after the formation of the Eurozone. One of Germany's biggest advantages has always been its highly skilled workforce. The country's dual education system, which combines classroom learning with on-the-job training, created a pipeline of highly competent workers. German apprenticeships became a model for the world, ensuring that industries had a steady supply of skilled professionals. At the same time, Germany invested heavily in research and development. The country became a leader in automotive technology, engineering, renewable energy, and pharmaceuticals. This commitment to innovation kept German industries competitive on the world stage. Germany's success wasn't an accident. It was built on strong manufacturing, innovation, and a skilled workforce. But today, that foundation is starting to crack. Let's take a look at the signs of Germany's economic decline. For decades, Germany was seen as an unstoppable economic force, but in recent years, troubling signs have emerged. The powerhouse of Europe is slowing down, and the reasons are deeply concerning. From deindustrialization and an energy crisis to demographic decline and policy failures, Germany's economic model is under immense pressure. Let's break down the key factors driving this decline. Germany's economy has long been powered by its industrial sector, particularly manufacturing. However, many of the country's leading companies are now moving production abroad to escape high costs, strict regulations, and an uncertain business environment. Take BASF, one of the world's largest chemical producers. It has cut thousands of jobs in Germany and is shifting investments to China and the US. Volkswagen, BMW, and Siemens are expanding their operations outside Germany, taking advantage of cheaper energy and lower taxes in other countries. This trend is known as deindustrialization, and it's threatening the very foundation of Germany's economic strength. Germany's decision to phase out nuclear energy and heavily rely on Russian gas was seen as a calculated move for energy security. But after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, this decision turned into a nightmare. The sudden loss of Russian gas sent energy prices soaring, forcing industries to cut production. Companies that rely on cheap energy, such as chemicals, steel, and manufacturing, are struggling to stay competitive. Many are shutting down plants or relocating to countries where energy is cheaper. Germany's population is aging rapidly. Birth rates have been declining for decades, and the number of working-age people is shrinking. By 2030, more than one-third of Germany's workforce will be over 50 years old. Fewer workers mean higher labor costs, worker shortages, and a strain on the country's social welfare system. While immigration has helped fill some gaps, it hasn't been enough to reverse the trend. Germany's tax burden is among the highest in Europe, and its complex bureaucracy makes it difficult for businesses to grow. Companies often struggle with lengthy regulations, excessive paperwork, and high labor costs, making it less attractive for both domestic and foreign investment. Germany is no longer the undisputed industrial leader it once was. China, the US, and emerging economies are catching up and, in some cases, overtaking Germany in key industries like electric vehicles, semiconductors, and artificial intelligence. Once known for its cutting-edge technology and world-class engineering, Germany is now struggling to keep up with rapid innovation. If these trends continue, the country's position as Europe's economic leader could soon be a thing of the past. Among all the challenges Germany faces, one stands out as a major turning point: the energy crisis. How did Germany's energy policies backfire so badly? Germany's energy crisis has been one of the biggest contributors to its economic decline. For years, Germany pursued an ambitious green energy transition, shutting down nuclear power plants and relying heavily on Russian gas to fill the gap. But when Russia cut off gas supplies following the Ukraine war, Germany's energy strategy collapsed, sending energy prices soaring, crippling industries, and forcing companies to move operations abroad. Germany's decision to phase out nuclear energy was controversial from the start. While many saw it as a step toward a greener future, others warned that it would leave the country vulnerable. For years, Germany made up for the loss of nuclear power by importing cheap Russian gas, which fueled its factories and kept energy costs low. However, after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Germany had to cut ties with Russian gas almost overnight. The result, a historic energy crisis that sent electricity and gas prices skyrocketing, hitting industries hard. Germany's industrial sector relies on cheap and stable energy, but after the loss of Russian gas, energy prices in Germany surged to some of the highest in Europe, making it extremely difficult for factories to stay profitable. Many energy-intensive industries like chemicals, steel, and glass manufacturing were forced to cut production or shut down entirely. Some companies like BASF moved production to the US, where energy is significantly cheaper. Others simply laid off workers and downsized operations. Even small and medium-sized businesses, the backbone of Germany's economy, were hit hard. Many were unable to afford skyrocketing electricity bills, leading to closures and job losses across the country. The German government has tried to address the crisis by subsidizing energy costs and investing in renewables, but the reality is renewable energy alone can't replace the stability of nuclear and gas in the short term. Without a reliable and affordable energy source, Germany's economic decline is likely to continue, driving even more industries and investments out of the country. When energy prices soared, industries felt the heat. But that was just one piece of a larger problem. Germany's industrial sector is shrinking fast. Germany's industrial sector, once the backbone of its economic strength, is now facing a steady decline. Major companies like BASF and Volkswagen, which were long considered pillars of German manufacturing, are scaling back operations, cutting jobs, and shifting investments abroad. The high costs of doing business in Germany, especially rising energy prices and labor expenses, are making it increasingly difficult for firms to remain competitive on the global stage. BASF, one of the world's largest chemical producers, has closed several facilities in Germany and moved production to the United States and China, where energy is significantly cheaper. The company has warned that Germany's industrial conditions are no longer favorable for growth, signaling a broader trend of deindustrialization. Similarly, Volkswagen, Germany's largest car manufacturer, has halted expansion plans in its home country and is instead investing in new plants in North America and Asia, where costs are lower and the business climate is more favorable. Germany has long been known for its high quality engineering and advanced manufacturing, but it is now losing its edge in exports. Traditionally, German made products were in high demand worldwide due to their superior craftsmanship and reliability. However, as countries like China have rapidly improved their manufacturing capabilities and introduced cheaper alternatives, German exports are no longer dominating global markets as they once did. Additionally, the US Inflation Reduction Act has incentivized manufacturing in America, drawing investments away from Europe, including Germany. Another major factor contributing to Germany's industrial decline is the rising cost of labor. German workers are among the best paid in Europe, which historically has been justified by high productivity levels. However, as automation and artificial intelligence reshape the manufacturing landscape, many companies find it more cost effective to automate processes or move production to countries with lower wages. This shift has led to job cuts and factory closures, particularly in sectors like automobiles, steel, and electronics, where automation has made traditional production methods increasingly obsolete. The decline of Germany's industrial sector is not just an economic issue, it's a societal one as well. Manufacturing has long been a source of stable, well-paying jobs for millions of Germans. As factories close or move abroad, entire communities dependent on industry are struggling to adapt, leading to growing economic uncertainty and political dissatisfaction. Without major policy changes to reduce costs and improve competitiveness, Germany risks falling behind as an industrial powerhouse, jeopardizing its position as Europe's leading economy. Losing factories and manufacturing jobs is one thing, but what happens when you don't have enough workers to keep the economy running? That's where Germany's demographic crisis comes in. Germany's demographic crisis is one of the most pressing challenges facing its economy. With a rapidly aging population and a shrinking workforce, the country is struggling to sustain its economic strength. The birth rate in Germany has remained low for decades, far below the replacement level of 2.1 children per woman. This means that fewer young workers are entering the labor market while a growing number of retirees are depending on social benefits. This imbalance is placing a massive strain on the economy, particularly in sectors that rely on a steady influx of skilled labor. The lack of young workers is creating significant gaps in Germany's workforce. Many industries, especially in manufacturing, healthcare, and engineering, are already experiencing severe labor shortages. Companies are finding it increasingly difficult to fill positions, leading to lower productivity and rising labor costs. Skilled immigration was once seen as a potential solution, but Germany has struggled to attract and retain foreign talent. Strict immigration policies, language barriers, and bureaucratic hurdles have made it difficult for skilled workers from outside the EU to integrate into the German economy. Even those who do come often find the process of obtaining work permits and residency complex and discouraging. The demographic shift is also placing an enormous burden on Germany's pension system. With fewer workers paying into the system and more retirees drawing benefits, the government is facing a growing funding gap. If current trends continue, pension costs will consume a larger share of government spending, potentially leading to higher taxes or reduced benefits in the future. At the same time, the healthcare system is under strain as the aging population requires more medical care. With fewer young people entering the workforce, the tax base is shrinking, making it harder to support these essential services. This demographic crisis is not just an economic issue, it is also a social and political one. Younger generations are growing frustrated with the increasing financial burden placed on them to support retirees. while older generations fear cuts to their pensions and healthcare. Without urgent reforms such as increasing retirement ages, improving incentives for families to have children, and easing immigration policies, Germany risks a long-term economic slowdown. The country's ability to sustain its prosperity depends on finding solutions to reverse or mitigate the effects of this demographic decline before it becomes an irreversible crisis. An aging population is putting pressure on pensions and healthcare. But businesses are also struggling with another issue: Germany's heavy tax burden and endless bureaucracy. Germany's economic struggles are not just the result of external pressures, they're also shaped by government policies that have hindered growth. One of the most significant issues is Germany's high tax burden and excessive regulation, which have made it difficult for businesses to thrive. Corporate tax rates are among the highest in Europe, discouraging investment and innovation. In addition, Germany's strict labor laws and bureaucratic red tape create challenges for companies trying to expand or adapt to changing economic conditions. For small and medium-sized enterprises, which form the backbone of the German economy, these regulatory hurdles make it harder to compete on a global scale. Another major policy misstep has been Germany's slow and costly transition to green energy. The government decision to phase out nuclear power while reducing dependence on fossil fuels was intended to make the economy more sustainable. However, the rapid shutdown of nuclear plants combined with reliance on unreliable renewable sources like wind and solar has led to rising energy costs and supply shortages. Germany's energy-intensive industries, such as manufacturing and chemicals, have been particularly affected, forcing many companies to move production abroad where energy is cheaper. The failure to secure a stable energy supply before shutting down nuclear plants has left businesses and consumers struggling with some of the highest electricity prices in Europe. At the same time, Germany's infrastructure is falling behind, further limiting economic potential. Decades of underinvestment in roads, railways, and digital infrastructure have made it harder for businesses to operate efficiently. Germany was once known for its world-class transportation network, but today aging bridges, congested highways, and unreliable rail systems are slowing down commerce. In the digital sector, Germany lags behind other advanced economies in terms of broadband speed and access, making it difficult for businesses to compete in an increasingly digital world. The government's reluctance to make bold investments in infrastructure has weakened the country's competitiveness at a time when other nations are modernizing rapidly. The combination of high taxes, costly energy policies, and neglected infrastructure has weakened Germany's economic foundation. Businesses are struggling under the weight of these challenges, and foreign investors are looking elsewhere. Without decisive policy changes to reduce the tax burden, ensure stable energy supplies, and modernize infrastructure, Germany risks losing its position as Europe's economic powerhouse. The longer these issues go unaddressed, the harder it will be to reverse the damage and restore long-term growth. While Germany fights battles at home, other nations are racing ahead. The global economic landscape is changing and Germany is struggling to keep up. Germany is facing increasing pressure from global competitors, particularly China and the United States, which are rapidly outpacing it in key industries. China, once seen as a manufacturing hub for low-cost goods, has evolved into a global leader in high-tech industries, electric vehicles, and renewable energy. German automakers, once dominant in global markets, are now struggling to keep up with China's advancements in battery technology and EV production. Meanwhile, the US is surging ahead in areas like artificial intelligence, semiconductor manufacturing, and defense technology, sectors where Germany has fallen behind due to a lack of aggressive investment and innovation. The global economic landscape is shifting and Germany is struggling to adapt. For decades, its export-driven economy thrived on selling high-quality industrial goods to the world. However, as more countries develop their own advanced manufacturing capabilities, Germany is facing tougher competition. China is no longer just a buyer of German machinery, it is now a direct competitor producing high-tech equipment at lower costs. Meanwhile, the US is reshoring manufacturing and investing heavily in domestic industries through initiatives like the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, which provide massive subsidies for key sectors. These policies are drawing investments away from Europe, making it harder for Germany to maintain its edge. At the same time, Germany's geopolitical environment has become more challenging. Brexit has disrupted trade with the UK, one of Germany's biggest export markets. The uncertainty surrounding trade agreements and regulatory changes has made it more difficult for German businesses to operate smoothly in Britain. Additionally, US trade policies under both the Trump and Biden administrations have prioritized American industries, imposing tariffs and restrictions on European goods. Germany, heavily reliant on exports, has been particularly vulnerable to these changes as it faces rising trade barriers and economic nationalism in key markets. The rise of Eastern Europe is another factor reshaping Germany's position in the global economy. Countries like Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic are becoming more attractive for manufacturing due to lower labor costs, business-friendly policies, and increasing technological capabilities. Many German companies are relocating production to these countries to stay competitive, further weakening Germany's own industrial base. As the global economy shifts, Germany's traditional strengths are no longer enough to secure its dominance. Without strategic adjustments, Germany risks falling behind in the race for economic and technological leadership, losing ground to faster, more adaptive economies. So, is Germany doomed to decline, or can it make a comeback? Let's look at possible solutions and what the future might hold. Germany's economic struggles are serious, but they are not irreversible. The country has the resources, expertise, and infrastructure to turn things around if it takes the right steps. One of the most urgent priorities is energy diversification. Germany's decision to phase out nuclear power and its reliance on Russian gas proved to be costly mistakes. To recover, Germany needs to invest aggressively in a balanced energy mix, including renewable sources, nuclear energy, and alternative suppliers for natural gas. Lowering energy costs is essential for retaining its industrial base, as high electricity prices are pushing manufacturers to relocate abroad. Another key solution is immigration reform to address the country's labor shortage. Germany's aging population means there are fewer workers to sustain economic growth, and declining birth rates show no sign of reversing. The country needs a more open and efficient immigration system to attract skilled workers from around the world, particularly in fields like engineering, technology, and healthcare. While Germany has implemented some reforms, bureaucratic hurdles and strict language requirements still make it difficult for foreign professionals to integrate into the workforce. Without a steady influx of skilled immigrants, Germany's economy will continue to struggle under the weight of an aging population. Structural policy changes are also necessary to restore Germany's competitiveness. The country's high taxes and rigid regulations have made it less attractive for businesses and investors. Simplifying bureaucracy, reducing corporate taxes, and encouraging innovation through incentives can help reinvigorate the economy. Additionally, Germany must invest more in cutting-edge industries like artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and renewable energy technology to remain competitive against the US and China. The government needs to shift from relying on traditional manufacturing to fostering a knowledge-based economy that prioritizes research and development. The real question is whether Germany can adapt fast enough to the changing global economy. The country's strengths, engineering excellence, a highly educated workforce, and a strong industrial base are still there, but they need to be leveraged in new ways. If Germany embraces reform, diversifies its economy, and reduces bureaucratic inefficiencies, it can regain its status as an economic powerhouse. Other countries can learn valuable lessons from Germany's decline, relying too heavily on a single energy source, failing to address demographic challenges, and resisting economic reforms can lead to stagnation. Germany's experience serves as a warning. Even the most powerful economies can falter if they fail to adapt to new realities. The coming years will determine whether Germany can reclaim its economic strength or continue its slow decline. Germany's economic struggles are not the result of a single misstep, but a combination of challenges that have built up over time. The energy crisis, deindustrialization, an aging population, and increasing global competition have all contributed to its decline. Once the powerhouse of Europe, Germany now faces serious questions about its future. Can it reclaim its position, or is it destined to fall behind? The answer depends on whether Germany can adapt. Fixing the energy policies, addressing labor shortages, and reducing bureaucratic red tape could help stabilize the economy, but if these problems persist, we might be witnessing the slow decline of what was once Europe's strongest economy. So, is this the end of Germany's dominance, or will it find a way to reinvest itself and remain a major player on the world stage? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: economic power is always shifting. And speaking of shifting power, have you ever wondered why the world's superpowers are obsessed with Greenland? The US, China, and even Russia all have their eyes on this icy land. But why? Could Greenland hold the key to the next great geopolitical struggle? Click on the next video to find out. Thanks for watching, mate. Bye.